Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tells the Lost Stories, a place you'll find fan fictions with a twist and stories written and read to you by your host, me, Ty Tiger. Now, welcome to the Diaries of William Cranston. William Cranston is a character made by me and is used in stories such as Power Rangers Future Foundation, Power Rangers Cyberforce V2, and Power Rangers Magnificent Megaforce. He's the man in the background who's been manipulating those three storylines on the Tiger Tales YouTube channel. You might want to go check them out as well. He's also had influences on the Power Rangers Universe 19 Universe storylines that is hosted by Cosplay 267, and he's also now had influencing effects on Power Rangers Universe 20 with the Mark Red Cornish Rangers storyline Power Rangers Royal Britannia on the Nursery Comics podcast. So that being said, this storyline is kind of a prequel but building up to him in current time, and this kind of is an explanation storyline of what's he actually doing with all these universes and all these storylines. So, with that being said, let's dive in with today's story. Mark has recently made contact with Shinon, the Guardian of Time, and made a deal with her, but now he wants to do something with Mark the Cornish Ranger, as he needs him to help form his champions into better people. So let's dive in with the Diary of William Cranston, Entry 3, Speeding Up the Process. I woke up in the land without time and space, and I sluggishly climbed out of bed. I dressed quick and got straight to work. I meditated for an hour, and deep in my meditation I triggered my mystery powers and searched for Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger, the ranger I had pulled into my fight with the Lord Zed. I found him on Universe 20, a ranger who lived in England, and he had a team of rangers known as the Royal Britannia. He built his team, and with them, they fought the legendary Morgana and Mordred, and won. His team lived full lives and won countless battles. He even had a family, a lovely wife and a child. He was nice, an old, friendly, kind-hearted, brave warrior. I stopped in my tracks. There was no way I could have asked him to put his life on pause to aid me in inspiring my Ranger champions, just like Sparks inspired us. I could not simply ask a man to do that. Then it hit me. Like a bolt of lightning crashing on the ground. What if I changed the course of events, made it so Mark had to leave his universe, make it so he would run into my champions almost on accident and help them, but I'd have to be sneaky. I could not just end his universe. I'd have to do something. I can never kidnap a ranger. I proceeded to activate my mystery powers and scanned the entirety of Universe 20. I found the moment Mark got his ranger powers. It was due to Merlin, an ally to the Morphin Grid. He then built his team and led them to victory. I had to change things. Mark had to witness heartbreak and loss before he could teach others how to work through it themselves. I found several points in his timeline I could change the course of his story. I picked one and used my foresight to see the future. This time, instead of Mark getting his powers, then building his team, I made it so he got his powers at the same time as the others. I watched as the new story unfolded. Thanks to my mystery powers, I managed to watch it all unfold in a matter of seconds. Mark and his team faced Morgana, but they all periled at the same time. But they barely had time to train, and they spent their time in disbelief at being Power Rangers, so they failed. I needed Mark alive, depressed, of course, but not dead. So back to the drawing board. I picked another place in time to change, and with my foresight, once again, I made it so Mark got his powers near the end of the battle. The Ranger team known as Royal Britannia had failed to fight the villain multiple times, and was near to the brink of death. Mark entered the fold then and there near the end of the war. Mark ended up leaving the team, though. They all died, and Mark ended up going back to his wife, who argued with him on his choices of ending up with the Rangers dead. This ended with his wife leaving in a huff to cool off. She got into a car accident and was left in a coma. Mark was surely depressed, but was depressed for the wrong reasons, and never touched his morpher and blamed himself for the accident. I stood up and clenched my fists in anger. I needed Mark to get his powers, understanding his quest, bond with his team, learn valuable lessons, but still have the ability to be a husband and a father. Then it hit me, what if I made it so he had his powers around and become a ranger one day later in his life, make it so the team already was established, make them teach Mark instead of him teaching them. They would die, of course, but only them, not Mark. Then give him the new mission, resulting in him leaving his universe and hunt down the person who killed the Rangers. Yes, that was it. I needed a way to hold on to the power, though. I scanned the universe to find the power set, and it was a combination of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers powers made into a sub-power set, so to speak. It would be easy to mimic. It was the original Mighty Morphin Rangers, of course. The Red Ranger would suffice, Jason, of course. I scanned the universe for Jason's adventures, and I found a honeypot. He took a trip to Cornwall once in this universe. Now, with that, I just needed was something to absorb the power when Jason morphed. I needed something magical. I needed to talk to Merlin. I opened a portal and walked through it and entered Merlin's lair in Universe 20. I walked around the cave, and the shells was filled with magical bits and bobs. I then saw a small rune stone. I picked it up. I could feel it vibrating in my hand. "Oh, please take it. I don't need it," a voice said behind me. I spun around and saw the old wizard stood there with a walking stick and a crooked smile. I stood there without a response. "Yes, I see you. I do not know what you are, but I see you are important. So I say again, please take it," Merlin told me. "I will. Why, thank you," I muttered. I looked into the eyes of the old wizard, and I saw something amazing, something beautiful. His eyes was the pathway to universes. I could see them. To an ordinary eye, his eyes would be normal, but I had no ordinary eyes. I could see his power. That is right. I can see the alternate versions of myself through their eyes, and them to me, Merlin told me. "How unique," I muttered with a grin. "You're going to change things for Mark, aren't you? And then wipe my memory, I'm assuming," Merlin said to me. "Correct," I grinned. Then with a wave of my hand and a quick change of my eyes, Merlin was none the wiser. I walked through the portal, holding onto the runestone. I entered Cornwall. It smelled like seawater. I found Jason. I sensed Mark coming up the pathway. I then placed the runestone down. Then I became invisible to any human eye. I watched closely as Mark walked up to the scene and found Jason talking to his communicator. He then morphed and teleported away. Mark was stunned as he watched the ranger disappear. Mark then saw the residue energy circling around the runestone. My plan worked perfectly. It sucked the energy up like a hungry baby, and then I watched Mark pick up the runestone and examine it. He then placed it in his pocket. I smiled as Mark walked away. I opened the portal, walked through it, and ended up in the land without time and space once more. I meditated some. I realized that I could not keep entering the same universe over and over again, using my mystery powers to keep hiding myself. Sparks would eventually find out. I needed a way to watch my universes without leaving my safe haven. I still had to heal. I needed something like Merlin. Of course, it hit me. I needed the Merlin. I scanned for Merlins and found one old and deprived, beaten in the world that was so destroyed it was on the brink of extinction. So I opened a portal and walked into the universe. The Merlin sat on a rock. His staff was black, burnt, and ruined. His hair was dark grey and tattered and danced all over the place. I walked up to him and stared at the old, beaten man. "I can see your power. Like a star, bright and powerful. Why are you here?" Merlin asked. "I need you, old wise one," I replied. "Ha ha ha ha. Please. No one needs me anymore. I am nothing but dust with a pair of broken lungs." Merlin coughed. "How about some darkness? Shed away from the burning light that life offers," I offered him. "I would love to see darkness once again," Merlin muttered. "I can let you sleep for a very long time, Merlin." "I just need to tap into your subconscious," I told him. "I like the sound of that." Merlin grinned slowly. I waved my hand and teleported both me and Merlin to the land without time and space. I set him up down below in the underground caves on my platform, which I made my home. I set the old man to rest and linked his mind to crystal monitors, which floated above the surface. I sat in front of them and watched as all the Power Ranger universes became visible to me. I managed to alter the screen so I wasn't looking through the eyes of Merlin. I was viewing the whole universe. I had complete control of them. At any place, at any time, was to my disposal. I started with Universe 20, of course. I viewed all the mistakes that Mark made. With the mundane life, he got married, then one day he became a Power Ranger, but later in life now, joined the Royal Britannia team, beat Morgana and Mordred, and of course, winning the battle. Then someone killed the Royal Britannia Rangers. I saw her. The killer was a normal woman with high amount of power. I alternated the course of events to make her a Power Ranger bounty hunter. And to add a sweet cherry on top, I made the Power Ranger bounty hunter also a Power Ranger, a royal blue colour. I think it suited her. She killed the Rangers, then Mark left Universe 20 to chase after her. To get revenge, he travelled through the Power Ranger multiverse, just like I planned. I set things in motion for Mark, making sure to leave an open space for the universe I needed him to visit. I sat there watching Mark travel the multiverse. I took a deep breath. I had finally done it. Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger, was now running around the multiverse, chasing the woman named Nephis. She named herself after the goddess who protected the dead in Egyptian mythology. She seemed to be sneaky, slithery, rather of a snake of a ranger. It was a perfect matchup. She was the perfect opposite to Mark's cunning, positive leadership of a character. I decided to leave Mark alone, let him go through the motions. I had yet to pick my universes and find my champions. I decided to sleep. My portal monitors playing on the other side of the platform. I left them running. I slept. My wound from Lord Zed pained me dearly. I woke up and got dressed and ate something. Then suddenly a portal opened and Shinon walked out, but it was not Shinon from Universe 19. Not at all. It was Shinon from the universe that I altered. The Shinon I struck a deal with was from Universe 19, and she was still there. I quickly checked. "Do you know who I am?" Shinon asked me. "I do. You're Shinon of Eltar," I replied. "You have met a Shinon from another universe, haven't you?" she asked me. "I have. Yes," I replied. She looked at me with a mixture of furious rage and confusion. "She is my associate, so to speak," I explained. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my chess piece, ready to morph if I had to. I was not up to full strength, but I would be ready to go toe-to-toe with the Guardian of Time if I must. I was drawn here. It took me a while, but I finally found you. You have changed everything in my universe. She barked at me. I looked at her with a raised eyebrow. Then, of course, it dawned on me. I had changed time too many times. I was more concerned on Sparks finding out when really I should have been more worried about Shinon. She must have sensed the rapid alterations in Universe 20, then found me by trading the energy signatures back to me. She was Shinon from Universe 20. "Hello, talking to you," Shinon snapped at me. I'd realized I spaced out for a moment. "I haven't done anything wrong," I denied. "You have changed everything for Mark. He was meant to help the world. The Ultra Rangers, all the Rangers know the world is different. He was meant to help. We have no Ultra Rangers now. Certain events have changed. Certain Rangers are dead because of you." Shinon barked at me. "I needed Mark for something much bigger than any of your universes," I growled at her. She looked at me confused. "You are strong, aren't you?" she muttered. I walked up to her and leaned close. "I am sorry I screwed your little universe, but I need Mark. I need his passion and love for life. I need him to train not only my Rangers, but their hearts too. My champions will be powerful in more ways, not only as Rangers but as human beings as well. I do not care for you or your petty universe. You're lucky I keep it safe," I muttered to her. "What do you mean, keep it safe?" she asked me. "I cannot save your universe, but the banker cannot find it nevertheless. I made sure of it," I muttered. "I do not understand you. but I think I have to leave you to this strange mission of yours," she muttered. She took one step back and opened her portal, and then she turned around, my eyes turning white with a wave of my hand. I made her forget the last 5 minutes as she walked through the portal. I then went back to my chessboard I had placed in. It was completely empty. I needed to start making pieces, and I started looking for my champions. I decided to start looking for the universes that would adorn my champions. And there you have it, guys. We have another diary entry of William Cranston. It's slowly building up, and we're slowly getting to the point where Mark the Red Cornish Ranger would, of course, visit the three Power Rangers stories that I mentioned. That being said, I hope you have enjoyed. Now let's run through a few people. We have our association Zero to Hero, which is a podcast that comes out every Friday with Bulk and Skull of Podcasting, Billy and Jin, which ramble on about all sorts of stuff. There's something for everybody, so you should go check it out. Then, of course, we have the Three Ranger Bros, which is myself, Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, which of course is Mark the Red Cornish Ranger's character, and he has his podcast Nursery Comics. Then we have Cosplay Dude 67, my Parabatai. He has 3 podcasts with stories that he uploads to, which is Sailor Moon E, Cosplay Dude, Storytime Cosplay Dude 67, and of course you have Power Rangers Verse 19, which William Cranston has affected in some points. So you might want to go check them out too. He's also got a YouTube channel called Nostalgia Time. Again, he puts stories on there. Go check out Tiger Tales, like I mentioned. The Power Ranger stories that William Cranston will eventually be altering are on that channel, so you might want to go check them out too. That being said, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and of course, I shall see you guys really soon.